Hi there, friends. Miss M back, and I'm going to talk to you about how I implement my Matt and Molly friends into speech therapy settings. This is a highly requested video, actually, because I did post a little bit about my Matt and Molly stories. I shared some of my favorite ones at one point, and I was asked to share how I use these in speech therapy. So I'm really excited to finally be getting this video out for you guys because I know that there are a lot of speech pathologists who maybe have come across this or these sets and want to know more. And I love using them with my preschoolers, but there are also so many great ways to implement these different Matt and Molly stories in elementary school, middle school, probably even high school, because there's not only ones about animals or ones about play, which are my two favorites, but there are sets for all the different seasons. So there's a spring set with all kinds of spring-related stories. There is a winter set, fall set, although I think they call it autumn, summer. And then there's different situational sets. So there's a set with stories, like kind of social stories for social skills at school. There's one for social skills at home. I think there's one for social skills in the community. And then I'm missing a bunch because I know even I have a bunch at work. But these are my two favorites. I also love using the seasonal ones because there's different stories. Like there's a snowman one in winter, and different fun things that you can do to work on all these different goals. And the way I use these, just to start off with that, is I set these up in kind of themes. So I might do one Matt and Molly story. Let's say I want to do the frog story. I might be doing this for a couple weeks, 3 weeks. If you know me, you know I'm big on repetition, and you know that I will do one thing in therapy over a course of days, just kind of doing it in different ways. And that's how these stories are set up for you to be able to adapt them for different students or children. And then be able to maybe, make them a little bit more challenging in some ways, maybe, give more support in other ways and things like that. So I love these stories and I can't speak enough great things about them. So I'm going to go into it on how I use these with my preschoolers. But again, you can use these with a variety of different ages and things like that. So let's talk about this one, since this is what I have out, and this is one of my favorite stories because the kids think it's hilarious, and then some of them actually think it's really, ridiculous, and I'll share with you why, but we love it nonetheless. When you do Matt and Molly, when you have a Matt and Molly set, you always have like the teacher's manual is basically what this book is. So with every, different category, whether you have spring or fall or whatever, and it has all of the dialogue or the words that go with the story in here. So you might have noticed these pictures do not have any words. For this story, there are 4 picture cards. They all have numbers on the back, so you know which one goes first. Also, if you're doing a sequencing activity, it's really awesome to have them turned over and have the students kind of go through what's first, what's second, what's third, and what's fourth with that visual cue of the numbers. There are no words. It's just the pictures. So you, as the SLP or the teacher, whoever's leading the story or the session, can point out all of the vocabulary as you get really animated and read the story or talk about the story or things like that. So, you might go through and, oh, I forgot though, the first thing you want to do when you get Matt and Molly out, and I don't have my visuals, oh my goodness, but I have a song to sing with you, to show you. And when you do Matt and Molly, you always want to start off with a song. So the way that I structure my Matt and Molly sessions is I sing the song with the children, and then we go through the story, and then we do whatever follow-up activity I have planned. So week 1, I might just be going over the vocabulary, and we might read the story and then go back, and I might either read the story again, but really point out the vocabulary, or give sentence frames in the story and leave out those keywords to kind of see what the students picked up. So if we're talking about the frog, I might say, there's a, and point to it and give that visual cue and that expectant look and want the students to maybe say frog. And maybe we're working on following a point or whatever that is. I love these, by the way, because the drawings, look at how simple, how easy to see everything they are. So it's just super awesome. But let's go back because we always start out with a song. Now the song, sometimes we'll just do clapping and have the students follow along, but I love utilizing the different hand gestures you can do with the song. The song is set up in the tune of Frere Jacques. The lyrics are right here in every manual. And the way that you do this is you sing one line and you want the students, just like Frere Jacques, the students to repeat. So it's great for imitation. And then, you know, if you're working with a student who has limited verbal skills or maybe is nonverbal, they can still try and imitate the hand gestures or just the tune, the melody. Frere Jacques, I have students that come in when they know we're doing Matt and Molly, they're already just going, And so it's just, I don't know what it is, but it's very easy to pick up. So I'm going to go through the song with you. And I'll leave those spaces for you to repeat if you want to practice with me. But the way it goes, usually I have a Matt and Molly visual. So we'll use this one. We'll pretend this is my visual. I have a card for Molly and I have a card for Matt, and I point to them, or we hold them up, or the student will hold them up as we sing them. And then there's gestures that go with it. So just watch my hands as I go through this, and then I'll kind of recap the song afterwards too. All right, so the way it goes, we go like this. Matt and Molly, language time, language time. Listen and look, listen and look. Here we go, here we go. And usually by that last line, the kids are like, they know here we go. It's pretty much built into their receptive language through all the preschool stuff. So if you notice, so we have Matt and Molly, so I point to them, or we hold up our visuals or whatever. And then we have language time, so I'm pointing to my wrist. Usually I do have a watch on, so it's pretty relatable for the kids. And then listen with our ears, right? And we're looking. And that is such a great line because it builds in that whole body listening that we need to attend to the story. And then, you know, kind of as you're reading, if you have a little attention shift going on, you can always kind of be, oh, listen and look, here we go, and kind of wrangle them back in a little bit. So that's always really helpful because they've kind of had that, it's almost like that auditory bombardment of the language of like, this is what's expected. So that's the song. So I always start there and then go right into the story. Oh, Molly is licking an ice cream cone. And, you know, right there. And so you want to be animated when you're doing these stories, be pointing out all that relevant vocabulary and things like that. So then I'll read the story and we'll go through it. And usually what I'll do is I'll either have these all kind of face down and I'll turn them over as we go through the story, or I just kind of have them like this because I might be wanting to, you know, kind of act like I'm reading a book, and we do turn the page and we kind of turn it over as we go. It kind of depends on the group. It depends on the day too. Pretty much day one, I'll just have one picture out, so we're not fussing with the other 4 pictures that are, or the other 3 pictures that are out. So we'll read through the story. We'll go through. I go nice and slow. You know, it probably could take 2 minutes to get through this story, but I like to stretch it out to 5 because I want to make sure I'm talking slow, I'm enunciating, I'm pointing out all the fun things, I'm letting, you know, kind of seeing if the kids will respond. I'm not trying to go so fast that they don't have time to process the information, or if they're, oh, and they start laughing, we can say, yes, look, the frog jumped in the ice cream. And this is the reason I say that kids don't always like, well, it's not that they don't like this story, but they're like, I have some kids that frogs don't eat ice cream, like, you know, or they don't like that he ate her ice cream. I have some kids get really emotionally attached to the fact that Molly was enjoying her ice cream. But so we go through the story the first time, and then I'll say, okay, we're gonna do it again, or we're gonna look again. We're gonna look at all the pictures. And again, that's when I'll leave my sentence frame. So I'll say, Molly is licking, and I love this because it points out in bold, it points out the target vocabulary. So licking is bold, so I'll want to see if they picked up on she's licking. And if they say eating, yeah, she's eating it. She's licking it with her tongue, right? And then we might do the motions because we're really working on that word. So I'll be like, you know, or pretend, or I even have an ice cream toy in the speech room for things like this. And so, you know, maybe we'll get that out and we'll talk about, you know, what it's like to lick ice cream. Maybe it'll lead into a conversation about our favorite ice cream. Maybe we'll start talking about the frog's favorite ice cream so we can bring it back in and turn the page. So that first session, I'm just highlighting that vocabulary. The second session, we come in, same thing. We do the song, we read the story again, but that time I might again leave those blanks to see what they remember from 2 days prior or whatever, however many days. And then what we'll do is we'll maybe do some yes/no questions. So, okay, is Molly in the story? And guess what? There are all the questions, the yes, no, and WH questions here. There are also suggested props for if you want to act the story out. And something I learned from one of my wonderful friends is how to kind of set up a scene. I wouldn't do this after the first couple of readings, but maybe, you know, week 2, end of week 2, week 3, you might start doing a little bit of like a acting out where the students can, I have little necklaces. So one student will be Matt, one student will be Molly, depending on how many there are. We might have a frog, or we might use our stuffed animal frog or whatever. And then we act it out. You know, one of us walks by, we go under a tree, we're looking at our ice cream. I actually do have a tree in my speech room, so it works out. Not that we always use it. So you might get to that point. But I don't go straight there, like I said. So we work up, we do yes, no questions, we do our WH questions, we sequence it out. Again, I utilize those numbers on the back. And then you get to maybe that ultimate week 3 or 4 where you're acting it out with the students and using the props. Maybe you have, I actually had a slippa suggest I get aprons. So I have a red one. So if a student's Molly, we have our red dress on. If a student's Matt, I have a blue apron because a symbol for his blue pants that he always wears. So, and I actually do have those aprons now, but you know, COVID shut us down right when they came in. So I haven't been able to use them yet. So I'll let you know how that works. So that's how I would utilize these language activities. And there's so many great ways to incorporate the articulation in this. So you might find a word in here that you can really hone in on, like if we're working on our L sound, lick, that's perfect. So we'll make sure we always go back. What was she doing? Licking, or however you work on your L sound. So with those ones, that's how I use those. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about our earlier language skills and some different ways we can incorporate Matt and Molly into play. I love this early intervention book. I use it with all of my play groups, and we learn the sequences of different functional play and also different it gives us so many opportunities to engage and get joint attention. And so actually the activity I'm going to go over today, I've had a lot of success with joint attention because we're going to talk about bubbles, and who doesn't love bubbles? So this, for this kind of a session, what I'll do is I'll do something very similar, but my follow-up activity is always, always, always the play activity. And I'll have students, what we'll do is, so there's different things in here. There's playing with bubbles, there's playing with a car, there's playing with blocks, there's playing with a ball. So I'll have 2 visuals, you know, ball or bubbles, and the student will choose, and that's the story that we'll do. So then we'll go in and we'll say, okay, we're doing Matt and Molly, so let's do our song. And this song is just a little bit different because it doesn't have as many of, it's not a language activity per se, so we're not talking about language time because these are maybe some earlier skills. So we're having story time. And so that's the difference for this one. So I'll do story time for that song instead of language time. So you get the point. I already did the song, so I'm not going to go over it again. All the other lyrics are the same. But let's talk about the bubbles one. So the way that I do this is I actually put my pages in a stand that I flip this way through. And since I don't have that here for you, we're just gonna pretend. But the way I do this, now you notice, the words are on these ones. And the reason why is to help with those pre-literacy skills of understanding. We're doing a story, here are the words. So what I'll do is I'll point to the words, and they're very simplified. And they all go in order. Again, we have our numbers 1, 2, and then 3. And this only has, it's a 3 three-part play activity, I guess you could say, and it goes through kind of the important parts of engaging in the play activity. So this one for bubbles, like I said, it's my favorite one. So to start it out, I'll just go through, I'll either point to the words on the top of the page, or I'll do the gestures that go with it. And like I said, I typically have this in a stand, so I can point to the picture and then do my gesture while I verbalize. So I'll say, you know, open bottle. And then maybe give some time, maybe let the student try to imitate me with the open. Maybe I'll point to the words, depending on the student. You know, if I'm trying to get that gesture imitation, I'm gonna do my gestures. If we're really working on that attending to a story kind of goal, which I've done, then I'll definitely be pointing to the words and really working on those pre-literacy skills of understanding the words go with the picture and what I'm saying. And then we'll go to the next one, you know, blow bubble. Blow bubble, and I'll really work on that part of the sequence. And maybe, you know, again, give time, at least 5 seconds per page, but probably more, right? We want to talk about how cool that is. And then pop bubble, pop, 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 pop bubble. And so that's our activity. Then, depending on the student, I might read it again and have them try to sign it or tell me what the sequence is. But I might just get, okay, our turn, and then I'll have this on my little stand and I'll be going through it as I do this. Or I use this for them to request what goes in the story, or goes in the play sequence. So, you know, if I'm modeling it first, I'll say, okay, first we open bottle, open bottle. And oh, this is, all right, hold on. Okay, so okay, open bottle. And until I get it all open, then we'll turn the page. Blow bubble. Next we blow bubble, and then I'll, you know, blow my bubble. Now you gotta be really quick with the timing, guys, because then we're gonna pop the bubble. So you might have to blow the bubbles a couple times, but you get the idea. I'm not actually gonna do this right here because it won't come out, but you know. Pop bubble. Last we pop bubble, pop, pop. Like I said, I might use this to request. So then I might use some creative stupidity and act like I don't know what we're supposed to do. Now we've done it 3 times. You tell me, kind of a thing. I won't say that, but I'll say, okay, you know, maybe they say again or more, and I'll say, okay, let's do it again. And I close this really tight and then have them point. And so I'll just wait and give them that expectant look and have them point. And once they point to open bottle, or once they say it, or do the gesture, whatever it is that kind of corresponds with that first part of this activity, I will give the language, right, open bottle, okay, or first open bottle, either way. I actually probably should just defer to what they have written for me, huh? Okay, open bottle. Now, depending on the student, I might turn the page for them because they might need that extra bit of support. But some of my students, especially after we've done this a series of times, they know, okay, I gotta turn the page first, you know, and then they tell me blow bubble, or they point, or they, you know, whatever it is. So then I'll do it. And I'll honor it. But first, I model that language. Oh, blow bubble. And then we do the last one, you know, and they tell me pop bubble in whatever way they want to tell me, right? And I say, yes, pop bubble, pop, 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 pop. Sometimes the students will already go to popping the bubble, so I have to be quick and say, yes, pop bubble, pop, 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 kind of a thing. So yeah, so that's Matt and Molly. I hope this is super helpful. I love, love, love Matt and Molly, and I'm always happy to share more. Again, animals and play are my 2 favorite things to use with my preschoolers, but I use a lot more, kind of just depends on the child and the speech goal as well. But we really do have a lot of fun with them. So I hope that wherever you are, you have a lot of fun with them too. Remember, make your Matt and Molly visuals because they are gold. All right, friends, I'll see you later. Bye.